Hey there, what's up? It's me, Gazbot, back again for another review for CollectionDX. This time we're talking about the Aliens Colonial Marines Power Loader, and this is put out by Hiya, and it's part of the Exquisite Mini Collection. As you can see, it has a clear front box, so you can see the top a little bit too, but the sides are opaque, the bottom's opaque, and yeah, you get an idea. Now this is a 1/18th scale, and I will say it looks nice. I haven't taken it out of the box yet, but I was a little surprised how light and small it is. So let's crack it open and take a look together. What do you say? All right, so the box opens up on the top. I've already cut the tape, slide it out. Oh, that's neat. I like that on the inside of the box you can see there's sort of a fake hanger looking thing with the United States Colonial Marine Corps. You could use that when you put it on the shelf as like a little diorama or whatever, or just, you know, a nice little insert in the box. Something you don't have to use, but I like when there's extra detail to the packaging like that. All right, so here's the clamshell. I like that it is just little buttons as opposed to having to cut tape. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Oh, this is actually a lot more detailed than it looks in the box. Yeah, this is much nicer than I thought it was in the box. I think the box might have been doing it a little bit of a disservice, despite, I like the designing, but I don't know, something about the clamshell was like, the shine, I guess, you couldn't see the detail. Like there's a lot of weathering. Kind of reminds me of the way Nika does their stuff. I've also been told, I was calling it Hiya before, but it might be Hiya, which makes more sense if it's it's supposed to be Japanese pronunciation. Now I'm just getting a first impression here. It's pretty nice looking. And it has this stand, which I believe is meant to mimic the grate on the ship from the movie, although this is branded as Colonial Marines, so it might have something to do with the video game, which I have not played. Regardless, it's all the same universe and everything. And these look modular to me, actually. Wow, they're branded Colonial Marine, everything on the back. Oh, they are modular, look at that. So I guess you could make it bigger or smaller, use it for figures. Maybe you could build it with other ones. And it's got these little eye-shaped connectors, which you stick in here and then configure it how you want. So it came as a big square. I'm gonna go ahead and just change it to be something different. There, look, now it's this. Why, I don't know. But again, I like that customizability. That's pretty cool. And these are nice and weathered too. If you look close, you can see there's sort of silver highlights where it's been worn down to the metal, but then there's also like a dirty rust under it, which I don't know how well the camera picks it up, but it looks like more than just two-tone, which is nice. It makes it look used and lived in, which is good because that's kind of the world Aliens has, similar to Star Wars. It's not a clean Star Trek universe, it's a dirty one. All right, let's look at articulation. On the shoulder, we got an in and out movement, but it's also got a, looks like a swivel joint. I'm really kind of nervous to turn it. Okay, oh, okay. It was just tight. It's not a ratchet joint, but it's quite firm that way. So you got an up and down motion, and then you got the in and out. And then is this double jointed? No, it's single jointed. So it's a little bit limited, but you know, it is a power loader. It's not a shoulder joint on a biological being, so that kind of makes sense. And then you got the elbow up and down. Is there a rotation there? No. So the rotation you're gonna get from the deltoid, which isn't, I know it's not a deltoid, the shoulder of the machine. And then though the claw goes in and out about 90 degrees both ways. And then this little guy has a nice silver bar on the inside. It's got the nice sort of construction warning stuff. And let's see, I believe this goes in. Yep, oh, that's smooth, it goes real smooth. So you can crunch some alien queen in there or whatever you want to do. And then the other arm, yeah, the first turn on these, be careful. I don't know that it'll break, it probably won't, but it makes me nervous because if you hold it here and try to turn, it's so stiff, I guess because it's new or because of the paint or whatever, that this joint here, once I got it going, it's fine. You can hear it's making that little... This one, however, I haven't turned yet, and so I'm going to make a point of trying to hold it at the joint right there as much as I can for the turn. Holy cow, it's tight. Oh, okay, I got it. I don't know that that's necessary, but it makes me feel better. And now it's fine. So, and as I turn it, you can see there's a really nice little grate effect. It's not actually cut through, but it fooled me. See, on the inside, it's just flat right there. But on this side, it's made to look as though it's mesh through, and the paint did fool me. So I guess that's good enough that it doesn't actually go all the way through, but it's fine. And then, of course, in this one, oh, and actually I didn't show that before, but it rotates. This part has the most articulation, which makes sense. It's accurate to the movie, I guess. So you go left, right, spin, this thing closes and opens. This is a little awkward to have to do it this way, but I feel like, yeah, I was gonna say they should put a lever or something, but then it wouldn't look accurate. So you know what, forget it. It's, it's how it has to be. Yeah, so both the arms, as far as I can tell, have the exact same articulation. Up. Okay, and now the legs, we've got sort of a knee joint that bends a little bit, not too much. Oh, look at that, that's cool. When I bend the knee joint, it's got the little fake hydraulic. So it goes in and out right here is where we're looking. See how it disappears in there. It hyperextends a little bit this way where it bows out, but it goes right back in, so it's fine. And then this is all connected by, I was gonna say wires, but I guess they're more like gas tubes because it's all supposed to be pneumatic. And this is a soft rubber, which is fully attached. It looks like it might be pegged in similar to like the old G.I. Joes from the 80s, but I'm not gonna pull it off because I don't wanna mess it up. Similarly up here, it might just be glued on. This is all very nice, but I wonder if you play with it too much, if they would come off, if you could peg them back in or not. Sorry about the foot. I'm not complaining, it looks nice. It's more just, I'm wondering how it'll hold up over time. And then these come all the way up here. Let's see if these hydraulics. These hydraulic pistons, there is no articulation that would cause them to go in, but they are nicely painted silver, and it has the tubes coming up. It all looks very realistic. It all looks similar to how it looked in the movie, like, oh, this might work. You know, this could be a thing we could have in a few years. Why not? And they're doing a good job of replicating that. And then again, piston on this side. There's lots of little detail of, you know, the power loader logo, and, you know, if you get real close, you can see the logo and other little serial markings all make it seem much more realistic and like a thing that was manufactured on an assembly line and not some sort of fantasy spaceship, you know, that only exists in this universe. It's got nice there. I have not compared this to a shot from the movie, but to my recollection, it looks pretty good. I kind of wish that we have this clear light up here. I wish it lit up. Now, I know that's not something that they said it would do or I have any right to expect, but being a light and sound guy, I wish this lit up. Or maybe if they put a little bit of reflective paper in there or something. It's just a little bit dull for my taste, but that's a personal choice kind of thing. It's got the nice antennas. These do seem like they might be pegged in. There's a little bit of wiggle to them, which is good. So they could break, but I feel like they built it in enough that you'd have to really be trying to break them. If you casually hit it like that, it's going to be fine. On the inside of the arms, you can see they have the little controllers right here, and these actually have a weird articulation where they go forward. I guess just a combination of better accommodate the figures, which are in scale to go in this, which I'll get to in a minute, but also maybe to make it seem, again, more like an actual control. But it functions both ways. It mainly goes up and down. The backwards and forwards, this one goes backwards and forwards more. It seems unnecessary, but again, I haven't put a figure in yet, so maybe that's for that. I'm sorry, I know I'm flipping this thing around a lot, but to get all the angles, I kind of can't just sit here and look at it like this, because a lot of what's good about this figure is the really close-up details, which is why in the box it didn't impress me as much as when I took it out. Okay, so getting back to articulation, got the knee bend here, and you can see it's just on a little pin. And the foot also, oh, and the foot doesn't, it moves, but it's not a forward-backward movement. Let's see, let's investigate. It's got a little bit of a rocker, like just a hair right there. I don't even know if that's considered articulation or just the way it's built is a little bit loose. The foot does not go up and down or rotate any other way, so it's a little bit of a bummer because it's got the hydraulics there, so it led me to believe it would bend, but it's not necessary. And then up at the hip is where the most articulation on the leg is. It, again, really tight, like just like the shoulders, which is good. So you're going up and down, and you get a little bit of wiggle in and out. So if you look at the joint, I'm not good at the names of joints. There's ball joint, socket joint, pin joint, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it's an up and down vertical motion pretty well. You know, it's hindered a bit by other pieces, but again, this is not a common rider. You're not going to need that. But you also get a little bit of in and out right here, and that's the same for both of them. You can also see down here are the foot pegs where the figure is going to put their feet. And before I get to the figure, the one last thing, this cage should open. And once again, I have not looked at the instructions, so there's probably an easy way to do this. Maybe I should because I'm nervous about snapping it. I keep saying I'm nervous about snapping it. I don't want you to think that this is poorly made or anything like that. I've broken toys before. So when something's tight, I get nervous and I you know, there, it just fell over and it's fine. So clearly it's not that badly made or anything. But I do get nervous about breaking little pins and things because I've done it before. So I'm gonna look at the box. There actually are no instructions. arguably no instructions are needed, except that I'm being overly cautious. So I'm just gonna look, here's the instructions. The back of the box. Shows the front, shows this. It's pretty accurate. Like, these pictures are actually pretty accurate to the product. It's not misleading at all. It's just something about when it was in the plastic seemed less impressive. And it's not showing an opening. So I know that figures can go in this. So I'm just gonna look for the loose connection. Remove the arms back, of course. And there are 4 points of contact. I feel like the bottom is where it should come up. Let me pull a little bit. Nope. Oh, that one came off. Oh, does the whole thing? Oh, that's weird. Okay. So that was unexpected. There's 6 points of contact, like I said before. All 6 just pull out like one big piece. And you can see that it's slotted. There's the holes there. I guess there's nothing wrong with that. As far as like a toy collectible, a thing to put, you'll put it back together with the figure and it'll look fine. But kind of like with the light on top, I would have preferred that it opened like that, or in some more realistic way that this machine would work, especially because the hydraulics work and the whole thing is built about sort of a realism, and then this is like clonk, clearly a toy. It's a minor nitpick, but just, you know, if I was building it, I would have put a hinge or something right here. All right, so let me get a figure out. The figure I have is from the same line, from here, and it's Aliens Colonial Marines, and this is Quintero. And I don't know who Quintero is. I assume he's a character from the video game or possibly a comic. I'm most familiar with the movies. I do kind of like him though, because he's got a mohawk, so that's kind of cool. And he also comes with another piece of that grating, which is compatible with that. So I like that too. I love when figures come with stands, and I love when they're usable as part of a diorama or something. And he's got a bunch of guns and things like that. I'm not going to go into it because this is not a review of Quintero. Quintero. He kind of reminds me of like a Black Series Star Wars figure. Just for size comparison, before we get going too much, let's put him next to, yeah, he's about the size of a Star Wars figure. So it's 1/18 scale is what it says on the Power Loader box, which I guess breaks down to about 3 3/4, because that's what he is. And that's a more modern one. Here's a vintage line. He's on a stand, but they're roughly in scale with each other. So I'll put him away. Bring back Mr. Power Loader. And let me see, does the box? Yeah, there's no specific way to do this, so I'm just gonna, okay, the leg popped off, but that is a ball joint that I could just pop back in. The other leg fell off. All right, so I'll pop that one back in. All right, so I'll kind of and the arm. This figure, I know this is not a review about this figure, but I'm dealing with him. I have these Mega Ranger figures. They're Chogokins, which are Power Rangers in space. And they're very much like this, where the arms and legs pop off because of the joints they're on. I mean, I'd rather that than break, but that's the first figure since that one that I've seen that reminds me of that. And I haven't dealt with this figure. Like, I'm literally playing with this figure for the first time, mainly to put it in the Power Loader. And I'll knock over the Power Loader, and that leg fell off again. Okay, here we go. So, kind of want to put his legs in there. And I guess there's no peg or anything to hold him in. So I guess we kind of have to just hold him there and then okay, so maybe I'll put the grate on him like that. And I'll knock the Power Loader over. The Power Loader does stay up well. That's just me being klutzy. I'm not bothering to pose it correctly, and I just keep bumping into it because I'm focusing on other things. Okay, he's all snapped in. So now he's like a little baby hanging out. Oh my gosh, stay up, Power Loader. All right, put those arms out. So I want to get his feet onto the little platforms, because the way this works, if you haven't seen the movie or the game or whatever, it's an exosuit for a humanoid, so it's supposed to sort of mimic the movement. So you pick up your feet and it picks up its feet, etc., etc. And then the arms, remember I was talking about these little controls before here, that's what we're going for with him. I'm sorry my hands are so much in the way. So I want to get that handle in his hands. If I can, the thumb is kind of sticking. It's a soft plastic, so which is good, because if you remember the old G.I. Joe thumbs would break off a lot, like the 80s ones. All right, got it in there, thumb around it, looking good. Let's go for the other one. And his arm fell off again. It works, but it's definitely a little bit of effort to get it in there. I feel like in your collection, or at least in my collection, when I have a person set up in this power loader, I'm going to choose carefully who goes in this power loader. That is my advice to you, because once they're in there, you're probably going to want to leave them in forever. Or at least for a little while. Oh, brother, this arm fell off again. Okay, so I have Quintero in there. I gotta be honest, it's a little awkward to get him in, and it's good that these controllers move, because then when you move the arm around a little bit, the mechanical arm that is, it stays in place, you know, because the control, you can see, kind of moves with his hand, so that's pretty cool. He's sort of got a weird, awkward position. You sort of have to bend the body forward a bit from the legs, which is awkward, but I guess that's just the way it is when you're driving a power loader. You're not exactly relaxed. This arm keeps popping out of its socket when I move the other one, and I'm having a hard time. I feel like I need to pop it back in tightly by removing him from the power loader rather, but I don't want to go through all that. Let me see if I bend his arm. I was trying to have him have one bent arm and one straight arm on the controls, but it seems like that's not that possible. All right, whatever. There, he has one arm. Battle damage. Battle damage Quintero. All right, so I got his arm back on. When I'm not playing with it, I mean, this is definitely not something I'd give to a kid. Aside from the price point and the detailing and stuff, it's good to set up a pose and have it look nice, take some pictures, put it on a shelf. But when I try to move the arms around and play with it, his arm keeps falling off, you know, the hands keep slipping out, his feet fall off, that kind of thing. So it's really made for an adult that is going to set up a cool pose and be happy with it for a while. Because, you know, again, as you can see, he's sort of set up nice now, but if I start playing with him, I'm like, I'm going to get you, alien. Whoop, there goes his arm, his feet fell out, you know. He's not really built to be in there. Like if it was a G.I. Joe figure or Star Wars figure or something like that, they might have a peg in the back or some straps or something, which again would make it less realistic, and I understand that's why they didn't do it. It would be more for the play value, which goes back to what I'm saying about this is not for children. This is for adults who want to take pictures and put it on their shelf, not for playing with. It does have a good articulation that kind of makes me feel like it's for playing, but I think it's all just for taking pictures. Now, I haven't read their like company statement. I don't know if they feel the same way, but that's the way I'm taking it, is that that's what it's for, and trying to use it elsewise might not work out as well for you. I was just trying to set up some pictures of him grabbing this Gamorrean guard, and the claws hold on very well, but the problem is it's very top heavy, which is accurate to the movie. If you remember, Ripley grabs the alien queen and ends up toppling over at some point, but I tried to put it in both hands and have it up here, and it immediately fell. So, yeah, I mean, if you have an alien that's lighter, maybe this Gamorrean guard's a little too heavy. But basically, while the grip, here, let me try it with this rebel soldier, rebel pilot, whatever. The grip is tight. You can see it holds the figure, no problem. But if I try to have it up here, it's really, oh, there we go. See, I said it, I spoke too soon. When I tried to do it with two hands, it didn't work, but the one hand's working, and this figure's a little bit lighter. Although his arm did come off of the control and his other arm popped out of the socket. Well, what I keep coming back to is this power loader works pretty well and the figure does not. I hate to say it. I almost want to go grab a G.I. Joe or something and see if that works better. In fact, that's what I'm going to do. Actually, I have this Rebel, I guess it was an X-Wing pilot or Snowspeeder pilot. I forget what guy this is. But he's similar scale, similar articulation. So before I go to an old-time G.I. Joe, let's see. Oh, you know what? These straps might encumber him. Well, whatever. Let's see what we could do. I'm a rebel. I'm going to drive an alien power loader. Why? Is he Russian? I don't know. Right, let's put this thing back on here. Clip, clap. Squip. Squabble. All right, so he's snapped in. Yeah, I wish there was a belt or something around his waist at least. That actually, Ripley did have some sort of harness, didn't she? All right, his feet are not reaching all the way to the bottom, so even though they're roughly the same height, I guess the proportions on the Marines are different, where they have lankier legs or something. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's put his arms on the controls. Get your arm on the controls, soldier. Oh, his hand snapped on a lot easier than the Colonial Marine. Okay, so there he is. His feet do not reach the pedals, but his arms are at least staying attached and on the controls a lot better. So his top half is better, his bottom half is worse. It's weird because I could definitely get, like, this is sort of the pose like Ripley's gonna hit the alien, like the big wind-up punch. I could definitely do these kind of poses a lot better and the figure's staying more in the cockpit area, but the feet aren't going down to where they need to be. So I'm gonna try another figure. Okay, so I grabbed my General Hawk figure, which is from the 20th anniversary G.I. Joe line. It's more recent, and he's more similar to the lanky build and posability, and you know, he's also a soldier, does that make sense? So let's put Quintaro aside for now, and we'll take Hawk's backpack off, and his gun out. All right. Open, come to me, I have opened my arms wide. Timba, his arms wide. All right, so try to see if we can start by putting the feet in. Kind of giving that little baby crouch forward like I did with Quintaro earlier. Bring the legs in a little bit. And his pants are preventing him from fitting in exactly, but it's better than the Rebel pilot. And then we'll put this Jim in. Jimin? Okay. And I can try to get his hands on there. So there we have Hawk in it from G.I. Joe. He looks better than the X-Wing pilot. And funny enough, even though the X-Wing pilot is a sci-fi character, but he's military and the Marines are military, so it kind of fits that aesthetic better. He looks better also in terms of his feet almost reach. I can move the arms around. It's still not great. Basically, you can't, like I said this before, but you can't put the figure in and then be like, I'm going to move him around. You got to pick a pose and stick with it is really the lesson I'm learning over and over again as I play with this, is pick one pose and then leave it alone. Don't plan on rearranging and reorganizing and, you know, playing with it even as an adult. Like, it's just not going to work. And here's the loader on the grating. I just built it into a square. Well, I rebuilt it into a square, I should say. And you know, the loader I like. It looks very nice. The playability with the figure is not as good as I would have hoped. It's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be, but it's more detailed than I thought it would be. And while the articulation is somewhat limited, it's by design and it's accurate to what the movie would be. It doesn't have more articulation than the real, quote-unquote, real thing would have. I also like that the detailing is good from a full 360 degrees. You look at the bottom of the feet, it's got detail, it's got dirt, you know, it's got the little stamps here for the, you know, company that made it and stuff, but that's so small you don't even notice it. There's no big screw marks in the back. As a matter of fact, I'm looking, I don't see very much evidence of screws or things holding it together at all. And the few times it does have it, it makes sense because of the mechanical nature of this, you know, for lack of a better term, character, accessory, whatever you're gonna call it. So I do give big, you know, points for that it looks complete. It looks manufactured. It doesn't look like a toy. I mean, manufactured, again, in the world of aliens as opposed to a toy made for us. These elbow joints are a hair loose, which is odd because everything else is so tight, so that if you want to hold something up over its head, you're not going to be able to hold it like this. As you can see, it falls almost immediately. You're going to have to use the shoulder joint and hold the whole thing up like that. And also it has a tendency to fall down that way. So let's grab the Rebel soldier again, as a for example. So you can hold it up like that, and that works fine. But if you notice, it's pointing a bit towards the inside. If I move it towards the outside a little, it goes all the way and he drops them. And again, these clamps are pretty tight. It's more about the weight and the rest of the arm supporting it. So I could also do it like that if I want. What I can't do is keep it in the middle. Well, I guess, oh, I can't. Oh, no, then he starts tipping forward. Or if I put it down like this with the elbow, as soon as I let go, it's going to fall. Watch. See? So you can get it to hold things up over its head, but you got to be picky and careful about the way you do it. You're much better off having it battle something in front of it or a little bit below it. Here, I'm going to grab my Star figure. Hey, I don't like you. Well, I'm a power loader. And if you notice, I'm doing most of this, again, without a figure in the cockpit because it's much easier. So I would advise pick a pose you like, play with it for a while, then once you have it, try to fit the figure into that. Because if you have the figure in there and try to do it, I feel it's going to be much harder. So yeah, that's the power loader, the Aliens Colonial Marine power loader, and it is part of the Exquisite Mini line put out by Hiya. And they're going to have a presence at San Diego Comic-Con, so you can go by, maybe see some in person, ask them questions. And I do think this is something that looks better out of the box, so if they have some displays you could check out. Depending on how big of an Aliens fan you may or may not want this. It could also fit on some other random sci-fi shelf, or if you have just like an 80s, like a DeLorean and that kind of stuff, it's pretty good. In that being the case, you would want a Ripley, ideally, or at least a Hicks or Hudson or something. But I understand that there's a fandom beyond the movies, and so there's a lot of different people who might want this. It also would be really fun to put this in with a vintage or even modern 3 3/4 inch Star Wars line. Again, just sort of have it fighting a Wampa or something. As a matter of fact,
I am a Wampa. I'm a savage beast. Haha, I do what I like. Remember me? Ha Luke Skywalker, power loader. Brrr. Get out of here, you thing.
This is the way of the Jedi. Calm. All right, so anyway, as you can see by my ridiculousness, this actually is my favorite use of it so far. The Wampa versus Hoth Luke, and he's sort of turning the tables. Now this Wampa is not as heavy as some other things. Let's see if we could get him up over. We'll grab him by the arm. Star Wars loves going for arms. All right, and pick him up. And I'll also use this one to grab the other arm to give it some support, hopefully. Pinch it in. Lift it up. Now it's at the elbows, so that worries me, but yep, I could do it. If you balance it just right. Oh, there it goes, toppling over. And I've been taking some pictures as I do this for the site review, and I can confirm what I'm saying, that the playability is not amazing, but the picture taking is. Like, you get a nice angle with these crazy, fight scenes and stuff, and the detailing really pops out and shines. But unfortunately, I keep coming back to, I'm having more fun with all the other figures besides the Colonial Marine. The downside of the other figures is their feet don't reach the pedals, but it's so good up here that I'm not really looking at that. I'm gonna give it one more chance with the Colonial. Also, I'm finding it easier to lay it down, put the legs in, and then put the cage on seems to be a smarter, more efficient way to get the figure in there, and then pop them up like that. Or even lay him down and put the hands in. All right, oh, look at that. That's probably the best I've had him. So laying it down did help, and then there he is. So I have him in there in sort of this random neutral pose, and yeah, laying it down was a lot easier. I can't emphasize that enough. But now let's see, I want to put the arms up, and I'll try to, all right, he's staying in, looking good. Move this arm up. Hey, all right, look at that, the arm stayed in. Okay, he popped out a little bit, but that's okay. He's doing better this time. Let's give him a Starior. So he's defeating an 80s wind-up Tommy figure who dared to encroach on Colonial Marine. Okay, his feet fell out. All right. Yeah, he's doing a lot better this time around. Maybe I was a little too hard on him before. Let's see if we could get I'll sort of intentionally make it fall.
Take that, yeah.
All right, so there's a little bit of playability. Maybe I was judging a little harshly. But, no, there goes his arm. Well, it didn't fall out of the socket, it just fell off the thing. So he's all right. The playability, though, is second to the photographic fun you're gonna have. So overall, the Power Loader is a pretty good figure. It's not the best figure I've ever seen. It's not garbage. It's above average. It's, maybe a C+, B- in my opinion. It has pluses and minuses. The pluses are the detailing. The hoses are great. The hydraulics are great. The paint job is great. The fact that you can't see screws is great. The fact that they've hidden a lot of the construction is great. The articulation is average. It's what you need. It's not more than what you need. It's what this character would have. Again, I keep calling it a character. But some of the joints are very loose. The elbow joints almost immediately are loose. That is a huge bummer. The fact that the cage just pops on and off, I feel, is a missed opportunity to make it more realistic. The light on top, I think, could have used a little bit more flair. Maybe another joint on the foot would be the one joint I would want. Getting the figures in and out and set up is a little bit hard, and ironically, I found it a little bit more fun and easy to play with figures from other lines. They didn't fit as well with the feet, but the upper body area seemed to work better. Now, I did get the Marine to work better afterwards, but I enjoy the Power Loader more than I enjoyed the Marine figure, if I'm being honest. And yeah, again, it's going to be what is important to you, what collection this is going to go in, what scale you're going to use it for. It's definitely a faithful recreation of this piece of machinery from the Aliens movie or from the game or wherever it is you know it from. But is it the most definitive? I'm not sure. that's something you're gonna have to decide for yourself. And as I said before, they're gonna be at San Diego Comic-Con. They go to shows from time to time. So my advice is go see these in person. See them out of the box if you can, because a lot of the opinions I'm giving are super subjective, and you might feel completely different. You might say, you're crazy, this is the best version of this I've ever seen. Or you might like it less than me. Oh, one more thing. Fitting the Marine in, also, he had a piece of equipment pegged into his back. When I took that out, that made him fit a little bit better. So that might have been part of the problem in the beginning. So that's something to do. So all I'm saying is worth checking it out and decide for yourself. So anyway, hopefully I've answered any questions you might have. If you had any others, you could feel free to throw them below, either here or on the main CDX site, where we have photo and written versions of reviews like this one by myself and others. And so for now, I've been Gazbot for CDX. You could check all that out. You can check out my own channel if you're so interested. I do art and other things. And bow, bow. He doesn't talk like that. He doesn't talk. It's not a he. Why do I keep doing that? The Aliens Power Loader from Colonial Marines is I'll drop it.